Here sits a 4.5 billion-year-old planet, unique and vastly different from any other. What makes this planet so unique, you might ask? Well, as far as we know, this blue planet is the only known astronomical body to exhibit life in the universe. More than just simply exhibiting life, it displays over 1 million different species and seemingly has limitless diversity in its nature. So naturally, it begs the question, why is there so much diversity in nature? Well, the simple answer is evolution. More specifically, evolution through a process known as natural selection. But this simple answer leads to even more complex questions, such as, how do species evolve? What is natural selection, and how does it work? In the following short documentary, we will explore these questions and seek to understand this core compelling force that drives evolution and the diversity on Earth.
Before Darwin's theories of evolution and natural selection began to proliferate, the prevailing theory of evolution was that it took place according to predetermined rules in order to reach some best end. Jean-Baptiste Lamarck proposed that individuals improved throughout the courses of their lives and that advantageous improvements were then passed on through the genes of the parents to their progeny. But on December 27, 1831, a young naturalist named Charles Darwin embarked on a 5-year journey aboard the HMS Beagle that was to change the course of scientific history. While observing the unique life and vast number of endemic species on the island, Darwin started to notice subtle yet important differences among the varieties of finch and tortoise inhabiting them. Through his observations, he slowly began coming to the conclusion that the species on the island had gradually evolved and changed over time. Motivated by the diversity of life on the Galapagos Islands, Darwin began formulating the theory of natural selection in the 1830s, but he kept quiet about it because he didn't want to publicly present his idea until he had a vast wealth of supporting evidence.
Darwin was not alone in his thinking. A younger naturalist, Alfred Russel Wallace, had come to a similar conclusion, having studied the wildlife of South America and Asia. Wallace valued Darwin's knowledge and expertise, and in 1858 both Darwin and Wallace presented their theories to the Linnaean Society with hopes of being published. Evolution is the theory that all organisms on Earth are related by a common ancestry, and that they have changed over time, predominantly by natural selection. An example of evolution over millions of years would be the whales. The oldest whale fossil found to date is the Pachycetus. This whale was as large as a fox, with eyes on top of its head. It is assumed to be semi-aquatic because the fossils were found in ocean deposits. Over millions of years, whales became gradually more aquatic, until they became strictly water-dwelling as they are today. Natural selection is the process by which individuals with more heritable traits tend to produce more surviving offspring than individuals without those traits, often leading to a change in the genetic makeup of the population.
Some people, like Lamarck, thought that giraffes have long necks due to continually reaching for leaves located at the tops of trees, but this proves not to be the case. According to Darwin and Wallace, members of the original species varied in height. Natural selection favored giraffes with long necks, which were more successful in both feeding and fighting, and therefore were able to produce more viable offspring. Over time, the numbers of long-necked giraffes increased, while their shorter-necked counterparts gradually died off. It wasn't until the discovery of genes and mutations in the 1900s that this theory of natural selection took precedence over Lamarckian theory. The bottom line is that natural selection is constantly at work all around us. A good example of this is the HIV virus. This virus has been one of the more problematic illnesses contracted by the human species. Through random mutations, it has managed to create resistance against most medications. The HIV strains are constantly evolving with small genetic mutations that randomly occur, making current medications obsolete one by one. Evolution and natural selection of bacteria and viruses can be used in a positive manner. Scientists today are able to take the most abundant new strains of influenza each year and create a vaccine to help our bodies develop resistances to the new strains. This is the case in a slew of other viruses that we encounter on a day-to-day basis.
Examples of evolution and natural selection are still at work all around us. Looking at our species alone, the little genetic mutations are easy to see in our phenotypes, subtly being expressed in the multitude of physical characteristics that we all share. Thanks to the process of natural selection, our planet has grown to become, perhaps, one of the most diverse and unique astronomical bodies in the whole universe.
this world, evolution would show that natural selection has taken control. We can see it begin with our changes, mutations. That's how we